Today, our session that I'll be focused on is all about managing our emotional triggers. And where I wanted to go with this was, you know, till like before I was on this mindfulness journey, I used to think about my emotional triggers as my enemies. I always used to be like grunting, like, why did I do this? Why did I happen? Or, regret. Or there used to be always frustration about me losing control and reacting. But as I am getting deeper into my spiritual practices and mindfulness awareness, I'm understanding that these
Person
um,
connecting to
let's
Gambler.
mute everyone. Yeah, I'm coming to understand that these emotional triggers are our messengers. These are not our enemies. These are messengers from our subconscious, and they are always here to tell us something more about ourselves, what we are holding inside, what is unresolved within us. And I've always feel like knowledge is empowerment. Once we have knowledge um, about how our body works, how we are, about how to handle things, it empowers us to become better and better. So with that, let's just dive into some of the basic logistics just so that we are all on the same page. I know a couple of folks pinged me about, and we were having side chats about triggers and their own personal takeaways on this. So just so that we are all on a common track about what are triggers. So triggers are anything that instantly activates our nervous system and causes us to respond from a place of hyper arousal or hypoarousal, and often way out of proportion to the event itself. Basically, we are acting from a place of fight or flight whenever we are triggered. And how it goes is, everything is fine, and then suddenly something happens, or person says something, or we read or watch something, or something is unfolding in front of us, and suddenly, like a button is pressed within us, and we don't have control over our own. Like we don't get a pause in our thinking that we get to, process that internally, and we just suddenly react to it. And the key here is that it all happens so suddenly, sometimes in milliseconds, that the chain reaction instantly starts. And we get upset, we get thrown off by that, and we sometimes irrationally react, or we withdraw ourselves from that situation, or we are like, this is not my cup of tea, and or something or the other, and we will just want to run away from that. Either we react or we run away. So, and sometimes we do things that are damaging in that reaction mode. We say things, we act. I have done a lot of crazy stuff in the past when I used to really get triggered, sometimes break plates. For me, it was like reactivity of expressing myself out that I'm upset, and maybe not feeling like I'm out of control of the situation. So do not know what to do. So yeah, so these can be damaging to ourselves or to others, and but the damage is done, and sometimes after the event is when we regret of doing all of those things. So I also learned that along with triggers, and I know who asked me this, Abhijit. So Abhijit, you asked me that could be there be positive ones, and the positive ones are called glimmers. When those situations or small moments, they just do the opposite of triggering us. They just remind us of something good that happened. It instantly calms us, or a music that plays, or something, some moment of joy that brings us back to safety, back to our connection, back to a calm. So those are glimmers, and then triggers are when we just go out of control and react. So we are all on the same page on this. Perfect. Okay, so and the thing is, why we want to get better is, and then the storm has passed, right? We calm down, we look back and regret the things we said or did, and we notice how impulsively we reacted, but the damage is actually done and can't take that bullet that was shot out of, right? And I really love this quote that words are more dangerous than swords and guns. They reach further and hurt deeper and often take the longest to heal. And my hand is up here, like I have done the most damage in the past, for my kids, for my family, for my loved ones. And often it's mostly our emotional relationships where we are emotionally entangled more, is where the damage is most. But now as I'm learning, I'm going back and repairing all of that, and it does take long to heal. So what can we do right now in this moment before reacting? Or so let's look into some of the, so I've categorized some of these triggers in two categories. One are intense triggers, and then there are subtle triggers. So intense triggers is like when something happened and we have reacted really way out of control. And the physical sensations, look at these. Like, how does our body react? How our physiology reacts? Like our jaws will clench, fist will clench. Sometimes our breathing will become so shallow, and these are like we are not in control of these. Our body is reacting to all of it. Hot flashes, watery eyes, judging thoughts. We start blaming others, start getting defensive, seeing people as enemies, mentally trying to escape out of that situation, spacing out, exhaustion, disassociation, fantasizing about escaping, defensiveness, over justifying, over explaining, mentally arguing long after the moment has passed, obsessive thoughts, replaying the event on loop internally, can't stop thinking about it, emotional outbursts, saying or doing things impulsively, addictive impulses, reaching out to food. Food was my biggest thing when I used to get triggered. Scrolling, yeah, often we'll go to our phones or something, to get distracted, smoking or other comforts. So these are intense trigger symptoms, but there are also some subtle triggers, like when a person fails to say thank you, and then we're like, oh, they're so not grateful, how mean of them, or to take, we feel like somebody took advantage of us. Or when somebody speaks before we finish our sentence and they interrupt us, we may get triggered, like, we didn't get acknowledged in that, or they are we feel belittled or disrespected, right? Sometimes when my kids' clothes are all over the room, and I'll just enter their room, I'll just get triggered. That's my biggest trigger. Like, what the heck is this? Why is this? Why can't you guys keep your room clean? And so, very subtle trigger, but it's still a trigger. And where does it stem from? We'll get into all that. Or sometimes when I remember when Mohit used to be late at work, and he would say, I'm coming in 5 minutes, I'm leaving in 5 minutes, I'm leaving in 5 minutes. And I used to bubble up in that. Like, what the heck? He doesn't keep his word. I would go on the train of thoughts like it's forever. And it wasn't like one small moment, but it is a buildup of many past moments, right? So these are very subtle triggers. Sometimes even somebody saying something in a different tone of voice could be my trigger. It's like, they said this, it means this. Maybe they have that meaning or not, but my mind already made up the meaning that they have, and I would get triggered. So yeah. So these are the signs of some subtle triggers: feeling helpless, feeling judged, or feeling like you have disappointed someone, or like this one, like we are not good enough, feeling abandoned, belittled, or disrespected, feeling invisible. And so many times I talk to my kids who are teenagers, and this is so common with them. They feel like, especially my 13-year-old, they feel like, I'm invisible in the room. Nobody pays attention to me, what I'm talking. And that's her inner internal trigger on that. Feeling used, or taken advantage of, feeling unease with the situation, person, or place. So just so that we are all understanding, like, what could triggers be like and how they look like when they come up. So, and the good news is that we are not alone. You are not alone if you get triggered. I'm not alone. And that's where we find some self-compassion, is that all human beings have their emotional hot buttons, and that when pressed would react insanely. So sometimes when knowing this is sometimes when we see others getting triggered, we can hold space for them, that maybe they're going through a trigger, or maybe I'm going through my trigger, right? So that's that. But and the good news is that it's not really us. It's a reptilian brains, aka the limbic brains. Um, so in our emotional, in our evolution of our brains, we have retained that part of the brain which is very, very ancient, that has come from the reptile, from all our evolution since the start of the creation, right? And this is the ancient part of the brain that hasn't evolved, and it's still stuck or focused on the behaviors like, territory, dominance, safety, threat to survival. So, and now our environments have changed. We are not living in that survival mode as we used to be in the past, but that part of the brain is still alive and reacts the same way as if it is a threat to our survival and we're gonna die. So all of that fear and anxiety and all the over controlling tendencies come from this part of our brain. And those who are emotionally intelligent, I believe everybody in this group is now emotionally intelligent. You are here because you are somewhere aware about this, right? So you have that heightened awareness to notice that when we have messed up and we need to work on improving ourselves. So the thing is that our brains get hijacked. So triggering is the emotional hijacking, because when we get triggered, um, the control of our reactions is seized by a part of the brain called amygdala. And if you see it, it looks like a red button here. It's the amygdala that controls or regulates our fight or flight responses. So that is the part that the moment we feel stress from the outside, boom, it goes in. It is also the part that holds all the memories and from all the emotional reactions and all the past memories around situations that have happened in the past. And that's what it does. So much fast processing of internally that it concludes that this is a survival threat. Boom, you go, you know. Okay, so yeah, the fight and flight response, that is our evolutionary function, is very important for us because if we see a child in danger or somebody falling into an accident or something, that's the part of the brain that will instantly react and save, right? So it does has a response to play, but in normal life to life, day-to-day situation, this doesn't do much just service to us. And what happens is when the amygdala gets that signal, our body starts releasing massive amount of stress-related hormones and peptides, and our heart rate starts to go up, and our blood pressure increases just so that you can save yourself from that dangerous situation. But when this happens in a meeting, or when you're talking to your child, or when this happens when you're talking to your spouse, that's where that in additional tension is created internally, and boom, you react. And this response is so rapid because amygdala thinks that this is a life-threatening situation. You have to burst out and do something about it. So it doesn't give you any moment to process that information deeply. And in milliseconds, you just go out there and respond. So this is what our limbic brain is. It is in a survival mode. It keeps in a survival mode. And this is a prefrontal cortex that is more creative, that has response regulation, empathy, insight, response and flexibility, emotion regulation, body regulation. It brings in morality, intuition, attuned communication from our higher selves, fear modulation. This is the part that we have generated over the years from our evolution since we were the lizards. But this is the part of the brain that is still limbic, that is still taking us into fight, flight, and freeze modes. Um, and yeah, am I safe? Do people want me? Emotions live here. So, so I'll just want to read out something. So our limbic brains cannot distinguish between our emotional threats to our ego and the threats of death to our body. So process that. Anything that is a threat to our ego can be thought of as a threat to our body. That's what our brain could process it as. So when someone says or does something that triggers our emotional wiring, our body reacts as if our life was threatened. And our limbic system responds with full range of fight or flight responses before our rational mind has a chance to assess what's happening. Our body is now in control of the level of intelligence designed to protect us since the age of dinosaurs. And that's when we are triggered and basically go into an auto mode, and where our limbic brains take over and doesn't give us a chance to assess. And we usually end up making the mess here, right? So that's understanding our physiology and our how we are reacting, right? So now let's getting into the deeper part of the things. Where do triggers come from? So initially I said that these triggers are messengers that are holding information for us, right? These triggers are not outside world. So when we understand this, whatever is happening on the outside world is not why I'm getting triggered. It's all what is happening within us. And our triggers are very personal. What triggers us may not trigger someone else at all. And that's so true, right? Somebody says something and other person like, yeah, so what, they said this, but we may react very irrationally around it. They come from our life history, especially emotionally charged past experiences that were left unresolved or unmet. And this is the past experiences, our life history. And I want to focus here is it could be, most of the times it is from our childhood, from the ages when you were born till 7 years of age, because that's when we were getting programmed, and everything that we saw, that's how we understood how to express ourselves, what's accepted, what's not accepted, how can I get validation from the world, uh, how will my parents appreciate me, and our worth is established in those years. So, and sometimes it is not even from our this life. It could be our ancestors. It's encoded in our DNA. If there was a family history of something, it was encoded in our DNA, and that's, we are just running on that code that is programmed in our DNA. And sometimes it could be your past lives. Something that happened way back, and that wasn't met or expressed or resolved, and that's what flows up. So yeah, so this is the data that is stored in our subconscious, and they may seem minor, sometimes harmless. um, Triggers may seem minor or harmless to those who don't carry the same wounds. So it is all within us. What wounds are we carrying within? And so today my goal is to teach you a technique that I have also learned along the years on how do we get to the root cause of that wound, where this my reaction is coming from, and that's how we'll go into tracing them back to the source. I'll take a pause here. Any questions so far? If not, we'll just keep rolling. Perfect. So let's.
Sarika,
Yes,
can you
yes.
hear me? Yeah, I have a question. So, what we are talking about is in the context of, let's just say, trigger, where you have a lot of those reactions, right? But something, you are wise, you are emotionally intelligent, so it doesn't really, let's just say, you don't react, but it affects you. So you go on the spiral, and you then keep thinking and thinking and thinking, and like it's like you didn't react, but at least it bothered you. Like, I am assuming that's still part of this trigger journey, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're emotionally intelligent, so you control your responses, right? Externally, but internally, you are still, it's impacting you, right? And I think that's an opportunity. The moment you see, I am going on that downward spiral, looped into it, it's an opportunity for me to do the inner work. And you sit down with that trigger. What does it has to tell me about myself? And we learn about it, how to do that work.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. So examples of some childhood traumas, I'll just post this in the group later on, so you don't have to go through this, but we'll just quickly skim through this, like being compared to the siblings, parents yelling on us, or harsh disciplines. That leads to the fear of authority or loud voices, being laughed or ashamed in school. These are the triggers around public speaking or not being seen. Not comforted when we were crying as kids. These are the triggers around emotional vulnerability. Um, Parents fighting or giving us silent treatments can cause us anxiety when others withdraw. And why are they not talking to us? Why are they not responding to us? You know, being ignored or overlooked, being feeling responsible for parents' emotion leads to guilt or over functioning. We overgive in our relationships, abandonment, deep fears of being left or rejected. So all of these triggers that we see now may have some root cause in our childhood, and these are some of the common traumas. And I'll share this whole list in our WhatsApp group. So, examples of adult life trauma, and this could be from your relationships from your adult life now, or these could be collective consciousness experiences that we are encoded in our DNA, right? So, toxic relationships, workplace humiliation, financial hardships, can cause deep rooted fear of lack or insecurity. Infidelity, breakups, can lead us to not trust, or abandonment issues or self worth. And these are some of the bottom ones, are like more of collective consciousness, like immigration, cultural displacement, feeling that I don't belong here, or always feeling that I'm getting misunderstood. Sometimes health traumas or medical traumas can lead us to fear of death and other things. So yeah, so all of these. So so what can we do about getting triggered, right? So first, understanding the triggering process, our brains and physiology, like we did, and then cultivating that awareness by understanding our patterns, our pasts, right? And then getting to the root causes of it. And then going forward, trying to be more aware about um, making conscious choices, seeing how we are reacting, in becoming internally aware on how everything is unfolding within us when the trigger comes in, and where do I have to focus my attention, and how do I disconnect from this situation and take it that this is all external leading me into this, but there is more to it, right? So without awareness, I feel we'll always be on the mercy of our triggers. It's our awareness that empowers us to learn about what is the choice, what is the meaning that I'm giving to the situation. So it's all mind training, basically, coming to that. And we need to train ourselves to recognize that the intensity of our reaction is not caused by the triggering event. It's not the event, it's something within us. These feelings, our core woundings, our conditioning already exists within us. And trigger is a response, just waiting to be stimulated, like an accident primed to happen. And it's truly an opportunity. And I just came back from my Hawaii Huna experience, and we learned about black bags. So, and I want to share this analogy of black bags. So, any time when we were young, or any time in our lives when we go through these small traumas that I've shared in the previous slides, we know what our subconscious does is that it says that you're not capable of processing this right now. It takes that information and takes it into a black bag and stores it in our neurology somewhere, sometimes in our body, in our nervous system, and it stores it away and says, when you're ready to handle this, I'll bring it back to you. And that situation happens, that event occurs in front of us, and subconscious says, oh, this is an opportunity, you can deal with this right now. And it takes that black bag and throws it in front of you, and there you understand it's a trigger for you. And as we become aware, we say, oh, it's an opportunity. Now a black bag that was stored in my neurology has been exposed to me. Let me take and unfold it. Let me open it and see what is in this. What information is it holding for me, right? So any training that needs discipline, right? Any training needs discipline, and discipline comes from practice, and consistent practice flows when we take full responsibility. So we understand the situation is telling us something, and I have this responsibility to open my black bag and see what is there. So if we will always blame people that I got triggered because he did this or that did this or this thing happened, we'll always be victims. But when we take this responsibility, then we say that I have the ownership to change the story now. right? So trigger mapping process, and this is what we'll be learning today. First is to become aware of our triggers. Second is to find their root cause. And then third is to release them. So step one, how do we become aware of become aware of our triggers? And I want you to do this, like taking this, and anytime you get triggered, just start doing this process and use our WhatsApp group to post all of these as you learn. Like I've created a separate WhatsApp group just for this session. So two things to this. So when you get triggered, try to make a note of, maybe on your phone or later on as you're reviewing your day at the end of the day or something, or what was that event that made you triggered and what was your interpretation about it. So example is like, I get triggered when John disrespects me. This is the situation that happened. But what was the observable event? When John interrupted me while I was talking was my trigger point, right? And what will this exercise do is, this exercise will help you identify your triggers. It was not when somebody disrespected me. It was not when somebody they triggered me. It was when they disrespected me. I felt disrespected when they did this. So that is the observable event. And then your interpretation of that event was that I felt disrespected, right? So become aware of the things, people, events that trigger you at home or at work or as you go about in life for the next 2 weeks. I mean, this is a lifelong practice, but just for our group here. So journal or post it in the group, so, and then write down what meaning that you are giving to this event. Um, and if you want to, if you're open to it, then you can post this, but let's get into the habit of recognizing our, and it will, maybe when you will post your trigger, it will give somebody else an idea of, oh, that is how I also get triggered, and I never thought about it as a trigger. So just as a group activity thing. So everybody on the same page here, everybody understood like what to do here, right? Any questions around this? Okay, perfect.
But I have a question, Sarika. So I think the question that I have is interpretation is very clear, and I get triggered is also clear that what was the event that triggered me. But what is the difference in the first line and the second line? Meaning, example, I get triggered when John disrespects me. Observable event, interpretation is correct. So, what is the difference in the first and the second uh, stage, right?
So I get triggered when John disrespects me. This is a victim mode, right? It is happening to me because he did this, correct? Do you
Mm.
understand that? Right?
Yeah.
Here, John just did this. He interrupted me while I was talking.
Oh,
And
so you're saying that instead of generalizing, you are attaching an event that triggered you instead of just generalizing and just saying, right, the John did this, but it's to an event. So it is not anything personal to John. It is a trigger because of John's actions. Okay, I
so,
got it.
yeah, so maybe taking that cue from making it neutral and saying, like, any times, like, I was discussing this with my kids recently. And so as I shared, my daughter said, everybody ignores me. That's a generalized statement,
Hmm.
right? I feel unseen. But what was the point was, when I'm talking, people don't give me space to come and talk in between. You
Hmm.
guys are so involved in that situation that I did not. And when I wanted to talk, nobody paid attention to me, or they did not realize that, so then we can go into the deeper meaning of it. So, but I am invisible, nobody pays attention to me is a very generalized statement. So how do we get to the root cause of something, right? So
Sounds good.
when they interrupted me, or when I wanted to talk, nobody gave me permission to enter in the, so it's coming to um more focused event rather than
Correct.
overall, right, picture. Yeah. And then you can see, and more you will do this exercise, you'll start to see the patterns of how we make it all about ourselves. This happened because of this. And then you will realize that it was my interpretation of that event. Actually, it was a very neutral event. Maybe that person had no clue that they interrupted me. They were just so much in the flow of their own talk that they just went through it. And it was me who interpreted that that's disrespectful. Why is it disrespectful? Then we'll go into the
I completely agree. And I think this happens to us on a daily basis, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
basis. Yeah. Okay. And then we'll start mapping our triggers. Then we will start. This is also a very good exercise. And I tell you, I've done a lot of work on me, myself, with my relationships, with my work situations. And, anytime I would feel threatened or insecure about things, and I would just do this root cause analysis. So think of it as like riding an elevator. You are on the topmost elevator on the top floor with your first reaction, and you see that anger is coming off, or you're trying to shut down, or you're wanting to snap back, right? But as you go deeper, and just below that, you will find that there's a deeper feeling of maybe hurt. You were hurt when they did that, or there's a feeling of fear. Oh, I was afraid of me losing control or something, or there's a feeling of some shame or something, maybe and then you go even more deeper, and then you see there are more layers to it. So everything is layered up in our psychology, and that's the work that we'll be doing. Is when you go one more layer deeper, you find that emotion that you were holding, or that information that maybe was very subtle, because it was you were not paying attention to that emotion earlier, and you were just so much in the flow of things, you never got into it. And you will realize that it could be something related to your childhood. Your dad always did that, or your siblings always did that, or my mom always used to say this. That's why it is connected to that. And then when you get to the very bottom of it, sometimes you reach the root cause of that core wound, where it is sitting. And that is very, very old or painful. That as a child, that inner child is still holding on to that pain. And that's where our adult selves are still reacting to it. So yeah, that core wound is running the story of when we get triggered, and we think that it is my husband did this, my colleague said this, or something happened. So this is the work that we'll start to do, and let's go into this one by one. So the trigger is when someone tells me I didn't do, or this is an example, right? So someone tells me I didn't do something right at work or at home, or something happened. So initial reaction is we are at the top floor. I feel defensive. I already did that. What do you mean? Second floor, we come down a little deeper. A weak, sick feeling in my stomach, feeling anxious. What if she's right? I haven't done the work. What if I really blew it up? And then you come a little more deeper into that. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm not, you know, good at it, or what I do or what I did not do. I may have self-judgment around my own self. That's why I was reacting in the first place. So fourth floor down, if I'm not good at what I do, then maybe I'm not worthy. And fifth floor down, maybe I'm not worthy. That's why I'm not lovable. And then you reach to the core wound. If I'm unlovable, then I'll be completely unloved and alone. And it almost feels like, what's the point of living? So this is how fast processing that amygdala does for us when we find a threat in the environment outside. And it says, what's the point of living? It makes it a threat to life, fight or flight. I have to fight with the situation, or I have to run away from the situation. I'm in danger, blah, blah, blah. Right? So so this is the work when we take some time out and we sit and we do with ourselves, identifying what was our trigger, where it went down, how did I go about it, what was the meaning that I was giving to it, where does it come from, and where does the root cause of it lies. And when we start opening, even showing the courage to open that black bag, and one knot, the second knot automatically reveals. Right now you may be thinking, oh, how I can go down that elevator so fast, it cannot be possible. Right now you may be thinking, oh, or when you are in a situation, caught in a situation, you may not be able to do that work instantly. But when you take some time out and sit with that emotion later on, that's when you open one layer. That's only when the second layer will be revealed to you. It's not when you are at the top floor, you can find out what is at the root cause of it. So that's the work that we have to do. And I tell you, I use Chat GPT for this. Like I used I use Chat GPT. David is agreeing with me. And it's so powerful when you do this work. Sometimes I, even today, with something, I was finding myself getting triggered without any external stimuli. It was just sitting with my own thing, and I was like, why am I feeling these emotions of um, worthiness? And I just took my question to Chat GPT and I said, blah, 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 I'm facing this. What is this? What could be the core wound around it? Or what could be the unresolved patterns I'm holding within? And Chat GPT gave me such a beautiful answer. And boom, it was. And it gave me an empowerment statement. Think about it like this, and this is your core thing. And it was all resolved within a minute. So that's how powerful it was. So this is a 2-week challenge that I have for our community. you know Next, I've created a WhatsApp group for this, just for the doing this work. So feel free to post everything that you are going through this. If you have questions, I'll be there answering you on that. So draw the map of what happens in your mind, heart, and body when you're triggered. It doesn't have to be linear, but it should include all of this. So this is the work that you'll do by yourself, and in the community, feel free to post whatever you feel like open to posting. The triggering event. So the triggering event that happened, like observable event and your interpretation of it. The first instantaneous reaction, the actual first thought or feeling that comes up, right? Whether or not you would ever express it. It's okay. We are becoming emotionally intelligent. We may not express it. We may not blast off externally, but internally, we are still feeling the heat of it, and we are reacting internally, right? So the deeper feeling, so going, chunking down, deeper feeling under that, what is it trying to tell me more and more, until you come to your core wound, right? And once you've done this, go back through your life or to other times or places and other relationships where you have experienced similar patterns of feelings. Keep going back until you arrive at what seems like the earliest memory you have of this pattern. And it might be one particular memory or series of experiences. So this will reveal to you where that core wound may be. So are we all? Gush, give me some engagement here. Give me some thumbs up, sign up, something that to tell me that you are ready to do this work, and we are all in this together. So no
Yeah.
judgment.
I just had one more thing to add because I was doing this with Steve's different book and other thing, and just learning from my own mistakes, or not mistakes, my opportunities, I guess. Uh, when I think of a situation, automatically attach it with that person. So and so did this, Sarika does this, and she always does this. When what Steve made me think about is, think about the emotion, leave the person out, leave the situation out, think of the emotion, why this is happening attached with this, which really helped because it is not the messenger, it is the message. Message is that I'm getting triggered by this situation. And once I think maybe it was just me. I don't know if it happens with other people, but I always attach it with like, oh, she always does this, or so and so
Right.
always. So that was, once I did that, it made my process easier. That was like one um, correction of the path that really helped me in my thing. That's one little tidbit.
Yeah, totally cool. Yeah, that's such a beautiful thing, that the person or the event or anything external is a messenger giving us this message that it is within us. Yeah,
And
and
Sarika, one more thing I'd like to add is what you mentioned is for some people a trigger may be little or more, but even our response, some people or some events trigger us much more than other people, right? If the same thing would have been said by somebody else, our trigger will be very, very less. But when it comes for certain people, because we have already formed some perceptions about those people, and that's where even they say the right thing, it's always interpreted in a, I think
true.
it's always also. So if we say that it's not personal, it helps, right? It's not.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's more like from where you expect rather than accepting those people. Where the expectation a little bit comes, I think the triggers changes a lot.
yeah,
And
It,
where
it's
you,
all your neural pathways, the neural wiring that Sarika mentioned, right? Like with people and the past and everything. I just wanted to say, put it in the comments, Sarika. This was the core of like when I went to Tony Robbins. He was, it was like everything was about like emotion and how to handle your emotions, because of course, I mean, it leads to your decisions you are taking at any point in time, your bigger or smaller decisions, and of course that's what frames your life, and it's all driven by emotions. Such a great topic this is. I was like, hey, I paid like few grands going there. I could have just waited for this workshop.
Agreed. If this aligns with my path right now, what I am doing with, and so I'm like, oh, Sarika did the same thing that I was, it was meant to hear. And yeah, very good topic.
Same. Actually, I'm also working on it because I needed very badly all these things. And the more I'm getting deeper self awareness, why I'm getting triggered, as you said, and taking the responsibility of everything. That is I feel like the key for, and not letting it sink, because once you own it, everything changes. Beautiful topic. It's always like whatever I want to hear, that time only you show up.
Wonderful. Abhijit, you had something to share?
Yes. Can you hear me,
Yeah.
Sarika? Okay. I
Yes.
think Usha covered that. It's sometimes a person triggers you regardless of what they say. So I'm gonna put it in my journal and then watch how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. But then also, like how Charu said, connect to the emotion rather
Yeah.
than the person itself. Well, what are they triggering? What is it making you, what's going on within you with that? Yeah.
Because that
Yes.
passenger person is just a messenger. He's in your life playing that role to bring that emotion out of you. It is not that, yeah, at least that is what I
Yeah.
helped me change. And even if I could not go all the way down to figuring out what the shadow was, but it helped me just bringing it to light. I feel
Yeah.
like some of the things, just bringing it to light, dissolves it or makes it less, or makes you more aware that next time it will be a little bit less intense, maybe. At least that, I mean, very new in this journey, so I can't really give a whole lot of experience from past, but being aware and bringing it to light also helps you just dissolve.
Yeah. Wonderful. So that's, now that once we have done all of this work, then as you will do this work, you will start to see the patterns. You'll start to see those black bags that are within you. You'll start to see what are the root cause of these events, emotions, that you were holding within, and where that unresolved stuff is still sitting inside. And sometimes it could be with your parents, sometimes it could be with the other people, sometimes it could be the partners. They said something maybe at the start of your relationship, and now you're 20 years down the line and you're still holding them accountable for that thing that they said, that because, like I said, the words that was once left out will always stay in the ethers, and it takes a lot of time to us to cleanse all of that. So once we do the work and you have got something to work with, and now so Sri, just hang on, I'll just come to you. So once you've got some material to work on, internally you've recognized what are the patterns and emotions. How do we release it? Ho'oponopono, the best technique. And I can't tell you the variety of ways. I know we have done many sessions on Ho'oponopono in the past, and I think or understand that everybody understands what is Ho'oponopono. But and we have a whole recording of our Ho'oponopono focus session. I'll share it in the group. But the thing here is, there are just this simple 4 phrases. I am sorry. I love you. Please forgive me, and thank you. These are the 4 phrases that you can work on almost anything, Once you get to your core wound, anything core, you just sit with that emotion, connect with your feelings, sit with those emotions and hold them. And just like sometimes I do it like as I'm holding my inner child. I know you are upset. I know you went through all of this. And I sit with it and I say, I'm sorry you went through all of this. I love you. I Please forgive me and I thank you. Sometimes I become that parent and I say it to my inner child. Sometimes I'll do it with my parents internally. Whatever situation came up. Sometimes I've done it with my husband, right, Mohit. Emotions that were in the past. I said something, he said something, and I don't need that person to be physically present in front of me. I'll just do this inner work within me. I'll sit with my own emotions, all of that stuff that I'm holding within. I'll just hold it so dearly. It's all All it needs is your attention and your love. Because we're just so busy running around in life, we don't take time pause to sit with it. And the moment you sit with it, you hold it dearly and you say, sorry, please forgive me. I love you and I thank you. And keep doing it in meditation, processing it. It just starts to melt away. I tell you, I've experienced this physically in my neurology. That knot starts to open away and it just disappears. And then I come out of that meditation and I'm like, where did that emotion go? It was so heavy, it was so intense, it was so deep. I was so triggered. I was this, that. Oh, it's just release, it's just gone. And I'm like trying to find it. I won't be able to find it. It just gets released. And that's easy, it is. Just releasing it. But the tough work is this, recognizing it and finding the root causes of it. And this is sometimes can be difficult to do it all by yourself. I'm here to assist you. We can work on it together. If you have recognized something that has triggered you and not able to do this all by yourself, use chat gpt and you will see how you can train your gpt to work with you on this. And and then just do the ho'oponopono with your emotions internally. This is the work only you can do. So with that, I would want to do a quick ho'oponopono meditation, and just to bring you into an experience of how to do this work. But before we go into a meditation, just a couple of points here on when you get triggered and you've recognized that you've got triggered. Name that emotion, like how Charu mentioned. Don't shoot the messenger. See the message that is coming along. What is that emotion? Name that emotion, right? Take a time out. And taking a time out is not always possible, but whenever you get that time, just take your time out. If sometimes if it'll happen in a family situation at home, I'll just remove myself and say I just need a break. I'll get away. I'll go into the bathroom or something and then just sit with it and process it internally, right? And sometimes when somebody else is triggered, you don't have to engage with them too much when they're triggered. Maybe you can helping them calm down, right? So yeah, so don't act when triggered. Any decisions you take when you're triggered, they will be the wrong decision. So find some relatively graceful way of removing yourself from that triggering situation. Calm yourself down. Use state shifting tools. You can do breath work. You can just do like I did this with Himanshu a couple of days ago. He was so triggered, and we were like, okay, just take away a break and just sit and breathe. 4 inhales, 6 pauses, 4 exhales, 4 second pauses, right? So on a count of four, take a in breath in, hold it for a longer time, exhale it, hold it, inhale it. And you have to train yourself, because when you're triggered, you would not want to sit down and do all of this work, but you have to just ground yourself a little bit. I'm getting triggered. This is an opportunity. I have to train my neurology to do this, to take deep breaths, because your breath will constrict. So I calm down. Let me breathe in. Let me breathe in. And it'll be the most toughest thing when you will initially start. And the more you'll start doing this, you'll training yourself. And next time when you'll get triggered, it'll be easier. It will be easier, right? I sometimes go out on a walk, or I play the music, something nice music in the background, or just to distract myself. Or if it is a thing that lingers on a whole day or in mental noise, then you can watch some nice movie or something. Whatever you do need to do to calm yourself down. This is your thing. You know what you need to do. And then once you have calmed yourself down, light a candle, sit with your journal, and do this heart mapping process. This thing happened. This person said this. I felt this. These are the emotions. What is the root cause of this? And just take a couple of deep breaths in and ask yourself, and your higher self will guide you through this. It just needs your attention on this. So, and then go and respond to that situation, however it is. Okay. Awesome. Lot of talking here today. So away from this. And now Yes, Sri, sorry, I forgot. Sri, you have something to ask or say? Let's just, before we get into our Ho'oponopono meditation.
Um, no, I can say fairly to some extent that I'm aware of the triggers right now. Let's just say that, for instance. And let's just say that I also know that it is a situation or it is to do something, not the actual event, right? But the interpretation of something else. And I'm very much aware.
Yeah.
I also have a board where I mark a cross, which I've been doing in the last 2 weeks, and I have some cross there, right?
Wow.
And my kids have started doing that too. They're like, okay, you're just getting triggered over a spilt milk. I'm going to put a cross, right? Right. Now I have a cross on the boards. I am aware. I know that it is, it is something else. It's probably the nervous system. And um, I understand from you, it's only the breath work that's going to help it, along with the other meditation practices, to be consistent, not to get triggered.
So, what is your question?
My question is, what next, right? One is, I understand, is breath work and meditation. One challenge I see is, right, once you get to a place of comfort where you know, oh, okay, you're proud that you've understood all of this, right? And then I know my triggers, I know to control, but then it goes back after 3 weeks.
Okay. So, one disclaimer, this doesn't mean that you will not get triggered at all ever. No matter how much amount of work you do, there's always, like I said, everything is in layers internally, right? So you resolve one layer and then you get to the deeper level, and so there's always work to be done. And the next thing is that with kids, so there are things, emotional triggers, and there are things that is just that you have to respond to a situation. If kids have spilled milk, they have spilled milk, and you will go and ask them, like, why did this happen? But you may not like extreme reactions where you will, like, maybe I in the past may have like given them a tight slap or something. So maybe how does this trigger thing happens is, as you will become aware, and this has been my journey at least, is that when I became aware of these triggers, I was in a situation that was unfolding and I was reacting, and I reacted. I would still react, and I will catch myself after that reaction was done, later regretting about it. Okay, I could have done this, I could have done that. And the more and more work I do, then when the situation is unfolding, I'm seeing myself heightening up internally, my physiology is intensing up, and I may want to, or sometimes I'll even do that, but there will be a pause where I like, let me think. Okay, this is what you have to say. Okay, and I'm still triggered internally, but it's still coming up slowly. And then there will be a time that comes up where you are watching it rise, internal emotions rise, and you are at a peak of it, but you're so internally observing it, and you know that it's not this person's fault and everything, and you will just hold it, and you will just take it a deep breath and it'll fall away. And then you will do the internal work later on. Yeah, why did I was getting so triggered with it? So it's a journey. As you will start, you'll keep becoming better and better. And there will be times when you will react in a situation. There will be times when you'll be able to catch yourself in a situation and still react. And there'll be time when you will hold your reaction.
Got it.
And get to process, right? Okay, so let's get in now. So let's settle down. And let's start with some deep ha breaths, just so that we can, at least for me, I can calm myself down after all the talking. Take a deep inhale in through your nose. And exhale out from your mouth with a sigh. Take another deep breath in through your nose. And exhale out from your mouth with a sigh. Take another deep breath in. Exhale. I want you to place both your hands on your heart and connect with your heart. And in your heart, invite your higher self in and ask your higher self to be your guide in our journey today, to help us identify any difficult situations, people, emotions that hold the key to a past, to any unresolved baggage that we have been holding in our neurology, so that we can release it with divine's grace. So, in this heart, invite a Father, Universe, a divine source. From the top of your head, imagine golden, shimmery light coming into your heart. And from the bottom of the body, connect with Mother Earth and invite pink, shimmery light from the core of the earth into your heart. And invite your ancestral family and invite your spirit guides. May this session be for the highest good of all beings everywhere. And so it is. And gently relax your hands in your lap. And I want you to imagine that there is a stage in front of you. And on this stage, I want you to bring all the individuals or emotions or events that are associated with any issues or problems that you might be dealing with right now. And your subconscious mind will bring whoever you're meant to resolve that past baggage with. So trust whoever shows up on the stage. And now imagine that the infinite source of love and healing is directed on the top of your head into your body. Golden shimmery light is filling up your body, overflowing out of your body. And open your heart. And from your heart, whoever is on the stage, fill their hearts. From your heart, there's a golden shimmery light that is going out into the other person and filling up their hearts and their bodies. Fill up everyone who is on the stage with this infinite source of love and healing. and look at them. Look who has showed up on your stage. And what do they have to tell you? What is unresolved between the you two that wasn't communicated before, that wasn't expressed? This is your chance to express it to them and hear what they have to say. Take a deep breath in and acknowledge all the information that they have given you and all the information that you have received from your higher self about the baggage you were holding for them. Now tell them, I forgive you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry for whatever I may have done to you, knowingly or unknowingly. And hear them saying the same to you. Tell them that you're thankful. Thank you for playing this role in my life. Thank you for being in my journey. I love and hear them telling the same. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And I thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And I thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And I thank you. Now, when this resolution has been accomplished both the ways, I want you to sense that there is an Aka connection. There is a cord that is connected from your heart to their heart. The energetic cord, the karmic cord. It's now time to cut this Aka connection that we have with them. This is a karmic past. So imagine that there is a blade of golden light that is coming from above and it sloshes and cuts this cord. And I want you to take the cut end of the cords and plug it into the source energy on top of your heads. take your end, the cut cord, and plug it into the source energy above your head, and take their cut ends and plug it into the source energy above their head. And you're released from them, from the past baggages, and ask you, ask source to be the source of connection between the you two. So you're connected by a source. You are connected to source and they are connected to source. And if they are someone really close, can imagine that there are new golden threads coming out of your heart and their heart and connecting you. And you're forming fresh connections with them based on the new energy of peace, harmony, and love, based in mutual understanding and the grace of divine. Give them a hug and let them be released. So see, they disappear. See the stage in front of you slowly disappear. And you are left shining in the light of Source. Give thanks to Source. And when you're ready, gently open up your eyes. Take a deep breath in and center yourselves. On the count of 5, gently open up your eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Right. That I would want to open up for sharing anything that came up for you or anything that you'd want to share. Thank you. Go ahead, Deepti. We cannot hear you, Deepti.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now.
Fine. Yeah, what I wanted to know is like for the code cutting exercise, I feel that I have done the code cutting with the same person who showed up today. Um, and I just don't know how much deeper I need to heal myself. But I was just curious, like, do we usually do this exercise if multiple times the emotions or the person shows up from the code cutting perspective?
Yeah, it can be because I've done like several times cord cutting with Mohit, many, many times, because at different stages of my life, different emotions came up. And and yeah, you're always famous, Mohit. You're the hero of my life. Come on. So so you've got to be in the limelight. Yeah, so I've done that. I've done it several times with my children. as well, because there are different, as I think it's more based on what emotion is it tensing you up. But there have been times where I've done it just once with someone and I've never had the chance to do it again with them, and it was completely done and resolved. So I think emotions are in layers, and as you scrape away or heal one layer, there's something deeper and deeper. So there's no harm in it. I mean, there's no harm in saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I thank you. And yeah. So that part is that tense emotion gets resolved, and then there are other things that I get to work on, to put it that way.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else?
One thing, you said this is gonna be like a workshop and create like a separate channel for it.
Yeah, so I've created, I actually yesterday only I created the separate channel for it in case anybody wants to post any questions, anything related to it. I'll also post some slides on this.
I don't
On
see that.
So it's managing your triggers. I think you are not there, Mohit, but if you will go into the community, you can
Okay.
join that channel. It's in the community email.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And I also do Ho'oponopono anytime and every time. It's just not sitting in this situation. It's like when I am triggered and I'm going through that emotion of trigger, I'm just sometimes doing internally Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. With that emotion that is coming up. And sometimes it just goes on the fly and you get to, yeah. Abhijit?
Hey, Sarika, I really love the session. I think I like the chat GPT idea. Is there specific prompt we use there? Because it kind of reacts to whatever you ask them, right? If you know some words which we need to ask in this context, I think that will be very helpful if we can share. Like, should we ask, where's the wound? Or like, if we can give some tips, right, it will be very helpful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Okay. So I usually just take, I am dealing with this. What does it tells me about my subconscious blockages or anything past that, I think, but for me now, ChatGPT is so trained because I do this work a lot with, but I'll create a prompt for you and I'll share. Maybe I'll create something like a higher self prompt for you, and I'll love to share
Oh,
that.
that would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, as you feed GPT, it stored, it has memory now, right? So it will know that, hey, it's you and what have you in your past conversation. So it will know all based on that.
Oh, I delete all of that. I don't want it to know about me, and that's how I do it, but
Mm.
maybe we'll keep it there now.
Yeah, maybe for this particular chat, like you can keep that, so it will help.
I think ChatGPT triggers me when it knows my history.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
that's your trigger point.
I I find it beautiful. Like Chat GPT knows where my goal is and what I want to do, helping and healing people, and it just beautifully links things together. From our conference we went to yesterday, at was talking about something about the healing, and she said, as Anita Murjani in the TCC had she told about this aligns to what you were. I was like, wow, it's so interesting that it keeps it's yeah, it's sometimes like they know a lot of information, but I think depends, this which information is
yeah. I
shared.
think there is no escaping from Chat GPT and AI. I know I hear Abhijit's concerns too, but yeah.
So,
Chat GPT is my therapist, doctor, friend, and my most trusted and yeah, internet confidant. Yeah. I feel like we are progressing into a world where we will be relying a lot more on technology than we do. And right now, everything that new comes up, we always feel it as a threat because our survival mode instinct gets on based on all the movies that we have seen is like GPTs will take over and robotics and we will be not human anymore. And so yeah, but I think it's here to elevate us. Everything is happening for the highest good of all. Okay.
Alexa or even our Facebook and so everyone is recording what we talk, and it just we see the recommended ads or the material. Yeah.
And anything that is free for free, like they need to get something in return, right? To keep it sustainable for themselves. So they're using your data as to give it to the marketers and other things. But but you have the conscious choice to make use of how effectively are you using it and how much are you not buying into it. Like Instagram shows us advertisements all the time. Do we get swayed away, or do we? Yeah,
Can you share that prompt on
I
the?
will. I'll share it on the group.
Neha, see, we think about something and it's already done for you, right? You were thinking about this and the session came up for you.
Oh, I'm totally aligned with Sarika. I'm not surprised this is happening.
No, this was she was going through the slides, and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking, hey, this should be like a whole session, and I did not know she created like a whole like this other group. I
Right.
went and I joined. I asked to join. I have to also request to make me part of that.
Yeah, and,
Beautiful.
and and next week we'll get back to our regular flow of meditation. So David, I know I'm sorry, you were looking to join us in person, and yeah, we because it was all slides and everything, and for me it gets very challenging in the studio with presenting the slides and talking, and everybody had to sit on the floor. So I thought it will be better if we are all on
Yeah,
Zoom.
no, this was actually perfect, and I feel like some others have mentioned it's just really in line with what I'm working on right now. So I was very grateful for yeah, thank you.
Wonderful.
In
Awesome.
fact, it was good idea to have this session over Zoom
Right?
because you needed a table and all to make notes and all. I think perfect.
Yeah, wonderful. Awesome. And so let's continue the discussion in our WhatsApp group. And if you are not part of it, let me know, and I'll add you on that group. So yeah, we'll continue the discussion there, and all the resources will be shared in the WhatsApp channel.
Thank
So
you so much, Sarika. Thanks a lot. This was very helpful.
Thank you,
take care,
Sarika.
everyone. Bye.